It's been weeks since we last recorded.
Give me a call.
Nope. Welcome.
That was loud. I
to
think I busted the mic there.
episode 10.
Which is how many pounds I've gained since last week.
I just gained that much from going through your house with the Halloween candy. I just ate a bunch of peanut butter M&Ms. This is episode 10 of the Twin Tail Studios podcast. I am your host, Adam Sadler.
And I'm here to tell you that I'm Brady, but we have new artwork that's proper on our, if you're just coming into this following along from episode 9, which is actually called episode blank, because I forgot to number it.
No, it's called episode.
Episode.
It's episode.
We actually have new art now. Like we have proper brandings. We're no longer joint operations. We are now Twin Tail Studios podcast. So this is the first official podcast because previously we didn't number our episodes, and this is number 10.
It looks a little off center because of the sword hilt.
It probably is because I don't like the centering it on just the image. I'm not a graphic designer, so anyway, we're here to talk about stuff related to us because we're narcissistic. That's all we're going to talk about is things that have to do with us and games. Not really. We're going to talk about the studio. We're going to talk about difficulty, right? Let's talk about some difficulties.
I think we should. This is actually it was a topic that came up. We'll explain why. During the Game Found, but we were talking with our playtesters, just balancing the game for Mouse-Light Adventures, and start thinking about difficulty in co-ops, and thought it'd be an interesting topic because I feel like we might have a different opinion on that than other people who like their co-ops really really difficult and really hard.
A lot of schools of thought on that.
Yeah, that'll be a topic for the meat of the podcast.
Yeah, what I want to talk about at the top of the podcast, though, is something that's really got me fired up, really got me hot wired. Actually, not really.
Technology.
I think technology. I think
lasers.
We might have discussed. I don't know if we did. I think it happened more recently, but I got a Switch 2. And then Adam got a Switch 2 because, like always, if I buy a chromatic, Adam buys a chromatic.
No,
if I buy a Switch,
the Switch 2 was because I was talking about getting a Switch 2 when it first launched, but there was just no games, and I hadn't touched my Switch in literal years. Like it was collecting dust.
Probably ain't got games on it.
But I think that when we were talking about it, I think I mentioned, I think it was last episode where I got my Switch out and I was playing some of my older games, and I realized how many good games I had on there. But also, I just kept reading reviews about how the Switch 2 is just so much better, such better hardware, and that's kind of what my biggest complaint was for the Switch, was just it was not very powerful.
Yeah, it was easy to ignore the launch of the Switch 2 because they didn't have like a lot of launch titles to go with it, so I didn't even like pay much attention, and I hadn't been touching mine. But
I bet if they would have launched with that Mario Wonder, the game that came out a couple years ago, if they would have launched with that as like a Switch 2 thing, that would push me over. But I think what pushed me to get it was the fact that they had that Pokemon bundle for the Legends ZA. I'm not a big Pokemon guy, but I've always wanted a good Pokemon game that one did, where it took away the turn-based stuff and it made it more like action combat, which is pretty cool.
I could go both ways. I've been playing so much Pokemon Crystal, and I kind of like some of the old, turn-based stuff, but I really enjoy this.
I like turn-based stuff when it comes to things like Octopath Traveler, like, those old JRPGs where you have a party. But when you just have one Pokemon against another Pokemon, I don't want to just take turns hitting each other with abilities.
Yeah, it was always strange, the whole one-on-one thing, because you do have an army of 6 Pokemon, so you figure that they just have a big brawl. But
even if it was duos, two on two.
But yeah, that's been playing a lot of kind of rediscovering my love of handheld gaming, because I think ever since I was a kid, we got into Nintendo when we were younger, but it wasn't until Game Boy came out that I really started becoming kind of obsessed with video games. And then I had like a Game Gear, and then all the different iterations of Game Boy Color, the DS, the Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS, all that stuff. So yeah, I've been kind of rediscovering my love of handheld gaming with the Chromatic that we got recently. I still play mine every day. But then I also started playing the old emulators. Well, not emulators, the Virtual Console, with their essentially emulators, but they're official emulators that the Switch has. So I've been kind of playing a bunch of Game Boy Advance games like Metroid Fusion and stuff, and that's what got me wanting to get a Switch 2, because, for the same reason as getting that Pokemon bundle. But yeah, really digging that. But I want to mention before I forget, if anybody out there is playing a Switch 2 or any console really, but Hades 2 is incredible. I'm a latecomer to Hades, but I love it because we played Sworn, which is Sworn's like a knockoff. It's like a co-op knockoff of Hades, which is a little better because I wish Hades had co-op.
Is it a knockoff? Is Hades based in like the Arthurian legends?
No, I'm talking about just the gameplay. Like it's literally like the same. They do the same style of stuff. Like you go through different paths and you pick which god you want to appease. It's the same thing. So.
I want people to take Raven's Watch and rip that off in every setting imaginable. Like I just want to play that format. I feel like that's my ideal format for a video game. Like, just hop in, play through a run, get progression in there, and like it's just
which is even better for handheld because like the Switch, I'll just pick it up and I'll play a quick like at your house. You're playing Kill Team. We stopped. I played a quick run of Hades 2, and then we came over here to record a podcast. It's like it's really quick to just squeeze a run in, but it also always feels progressive feels like you've got the progression because you have like the upgrades back at base and everything. So, but yeah, I wish Riot, like League of Legends, would just steal Raven's Watch and just do like a bunch of different characters because they have that whole cast from there.
That's Raven's Watch biggest weakness, or two biggest weaknesses: not enough characters, and also not enough maps. Yeah. Like they could just keep doing new maps and randomize it so it's not always the same order.
And the theme is a little like it's not limiting, but it's a little narrow. I think because like I think a game like that it would excel in the anachronistic approach that like League of Legends takes, where it's just like any type of hero,
but there are so many different things that they could spin off of like fairy tales.
They could
so many,
yeah. But from what they've been doing, like sticking to a lot of I guess they've kind of like deviated a bit because Romeo and Juliet is like Shakespearean. It's not
Wukong,
Wukong is. I mean,
different cultures. I'm saying they have different cultures,
but it's still like a folklore thing. Anyway, some rip off Raven's Watch.
I was gonna say that with the Switch 2, I was playing the Link's Awakening remake, and I remembered how well done that was. And man, I wish they would make just new Zelda games like in that style. Like, and it made me go back. I'm playing this Super Nintendo Link to the Past, old version, and that's still fun. You can still have fun with that game decades later. But yeah, lots of fun on the Switch 2 lately. But I've also been playing a lot of Xbox still. Playing Helldivers 2 and Marvel Rivals. This is a Halloween event. Just came up with a PvE mode for Marvel Zombies. This is something that I've been saying that I wanted since this game launched, because anybody who's not familiar with Marvel Rivals, it's a PvP shooter style game, and
they call it like 6v6, like that, whatever that genre is, like Overwatch. It's a
hero shooter. Yeah, so they call it hero shooter. But it's a really fun game, like great graphics, great gameplay. But I've always thought, man, Marvel is a perfect like IP for some co-op, raids versus big boss fights and stuff like that, like fighting Galactus or Thanos. But anyway, they finally released their first PvE event, which was Marvel Zombies, and it's pretty fun. It's not that deep. I mean, they did add like this skill system, but the biggest drawback was you can only play as like 5 heroes. There's 5 heroes to choose from in a 4-player game. So there's a huge roster in Marvel Rivals you don't get to use, which sucks.
Yeah, and it's cool they did the thing where you can like upgrade your hero abilities, and they have like the certain play styles, like of course we got the shark guy who's the healer, and then you got
it's Jeff the land shark,
Thor, who's like really good at tanking and just area damage, and then Punisher is just good at just dishing out.
I don't know if you did this when you're playing the Punisher, but I got it so his assault rifle did like a spread.
Yeah. Like it's silly stuff like that, which makes it fun.
And that's the thing too, like the outside of combat, the skill system is totally unnecessary. They could do all that in the game because it's got like a roguelike feel where every wave of zombies, you're like progressing through this map and you fight zombified bosses. So you fight Namor, and then the last boss is zombie Scarlet Witch. But that you get like upgrades after every wave. You earn points, you can spend them on these cards that give you damage bonuses or like tweaks to your abilities. But they could also just expand that into different versions of your skills, because outside of the game you have like a skill tree that you can manage, which I feel like is why they had a limited hero selection. But hopefully this is just like an experiment for them, and they realize that people want to play PvE in that game, and we'll see some more in the future. But that was pretty cool. Cool little event. It's going on right now. So if you haven't played Marvel Rivals, it might be a good time to check it out. It's free. So
yeah, we got to bump the traffic up there so they know that the developers know that people want that kind of gameplay, because it kind of came out of nowhere for me because I don't play the game as much as I used to, but I think it's great. I want to see more of that. I think raid boss style fights with like the PvE format is super cool. So more please. let's talk about what you came here to talk about. Let's talk about studio news. We'll start off. We're going to do a format change.
Well, there was more stuff I was doing this week.
That's fine. We're doing. I just said we're going to do something new. We're going to come in hot and talk about the studio news,
Okay.
and then we're going to talk about whatever the topic is, and then we'll just go into and because I think.
Well, you're talking about it a lot.
Because when you mentioned before, last time you mentioned before on our previous episode, you're like, man, a lot of the stuff I did last week pertains to studios. So
Well, this one doesn't.
oh, great, here we go.
That's why I was going to bring it up.
Why do you keep changing the format then?
Now I was going to mention this. I mentioned this like a few weeks ago, or a few episodes ago, where I was like really wanting to do like a professional wrestling book someday, or like in a game, like a fake professional wrestling thing. I always like getting these moods where I want to watch old wrestling. I just had a Peacock subscription a while ago, so I was watching every WrestleMania in order just to see how it progressed over the years. But I found this YouTube channel called Wrestle with Andy, and he just does these little like mini documentary episodes of like individual characters in the WWF history or whatever. WWE. I loved WWF. I hate that they changed it to WWE. I hate saying WWE. But I have to say,
blame the World Wildlife Foundation. Right?
It's WWF was such a good like anagram. Anyway, so I've watched a lot of history of different wrestlers, professional wrestlers, and I just want to give a shout out to that channel because anybody who grew up with professional wrestling might enjoy this YouTube channel. Wrestle with Andy. Check it out.
Yeah,
Studio news.
So I was going to mention beyond like the normal updates we've been doing, like kind of statuses about where we at on art, where are we at on production. I will say that we just did our second preview on the GameFound page, so go over there and check that out. Follow the GameFound page if you are not following, because there's cool imagery of the new Ransel Osbury miniature, as well as some graphics of his cards. But we also talk about like what heroes look like in this game, and how those roguelike elements for hero upgrades play out in the game. So it's a nice little read. Check that out. Give you some insight. Also,
Don't just follow it though. Share it.
Yeah,
share it with your friends.
Because we need this. Right now we're like, I mean, it's great. We have like 1,300 followers, but we need like 12,000 followers. We need to like blow that stuff
I
up.
would like 12,000.
No, we need it. We need at least 12,000. But yeah, share that with your friends. Read it, and then also engage with it, because that helps drive the algorithm gods, and they suggest us more often on the GameFound page. But post your comments on there so we know like what people want to know about, like as far as like future previews, because we have some previews to do, but we're just kind of internally deciding, let's talk about this. But I think it's more exciting to kind of respond to what people want to hear about. So post your suggestions, your questions, whatever they are, in the comments on the update, the comments on the GameFound page. On BGG, it's pretty quiet over on BGG. Make some noise over there. Post some cool questions. We did have a comment that I wanted to talk about.
Drown out that comment.
Well, no, it's mostly just because like it's a topic I like. I don't know. I like to. Fine. I won't give it any. I won't give it.
You can talk about it. I don't care. I'm just saying. We should have people commenting other stuff to drown it out.
Yes. Yeah. So because like somebody didn't like the graphics because it didn't have art on the action cards, and I just thought that was interesting because that was a conscious choice. Because one thing, like when we create games, we like a lot of people who play our games have probably seen like all of the quote unquote MDS games. They have all this unique card on the art. Unique art on the card. unique art on the cards, which is actually something that Adam and I aren't like huge fans of, because it kind of, in a way, like, first off, it kind of conveys that it's like a trading card game, which is like that's kind of where that became a standard. Like you play a trading card game like Magic the Gathering, and they have the budget for all this art on the cards, because that's all the game is just cards. So they got to make these cards like everything. They got to be everything in that card. But in a board game, you have other visuals and stuff. So like this was a conscious decision to have these action cards have a lot of breathing room for text, and I mean, we just personally think it looks great. Like it's very clean, very elegant.
Also, I mean, the art wouldn't fit on those action cards because we have the dice values and and we did use Ransel as an example in this update, which he has an attack action that has no abilities because it's all one keyword. That's the lightest text on any of the cards. So a lot of the cards, if you look at like Annika or Gabe, Brady's in
Adam's learning the card out. Adam's learning the characters' names: Melaine, Avrin.
The card text is like way more robust.
Yeah,
and there's no room for art. So,
But not only that either. Like, I mean, we have art like on the relic cards. Like, you know, you can see in the preview, you see Rancel's. I think it's the herb pouch. Huel's his dad's herb pouch. So like those look great because you need to know what those are. But like, I mean, it's just all a practical thing too, where like art is so expensive, so you got to like pick and choose where you put the art and what's needed. But yeah, I just want to mention that because like I could go on for like a whole episode, I think, about like art and where it's used and everything. But I think like with board game card art, we don't want to set that standard that like, you know, like for previous games we've done have, you know, explored. And I also don't love the whole, oh, just do the same art on each card. I think it's even worse.
I still remember when I was working at Fantasy Flight Games and they were working on a Talisman expansion, like a really small box, little card expansion, basically. It kept getting such a pushback from the executives because of the art cost. Like, the game is so super simple. Anybody who played Talisman knows that you just roll dice. You know, you roll die, move to a space, draw a card, and resolve it. But every card has art on it, and like it's all unique items and stuff, events and all this stuff. And like that was one of the simplest games in the library, but it was so expensive to make.
And weren't the cards like really small too? Like
a lot of them were, yeah. They had small cards, and they're like,
it's such tiny art,
and they're like, we can't make this game. It's too expensive. It's like it's just art's expensive, man.
Yeah,
People don't realize how.
The thing is too, I love art. Like I want to employ artists. I want to pay artists well, and you know, I want to work with fun artists that we like. So like that's important to us. But I also don't. I just don't love from a gameplay standpoint or a user standpoint. Like I don't need like a card that's like Rancel's backstab card. I don't need a picture of him stabbing somebody in the back because like it. First off, you'll just see that same image every time you do that thing. It's like I'm fine with just the graphics and make it clean and make it like a good UI. So
I think
it's a lot of preference there. But
whoever made that comment would probably be happy when they see us share like the update about the villain cards or the enemy cards, where there's actually art of the characters. Because there is some cards will have art on them, but not every card. Not in these action cards that don't have any reason to have art on them. So.
Yeah, we want to just make sure they were elegant and timeless looking, and it's just it's a choice. So yeah, just want to make that comment because like I could, like I said, I have preferences on art. I could talk about it all day.
Wait till we do that map tile tease and start talking about how the map tiles work in the game because that art looks great.
Also, like comments like that where like someone's like, oh, I'm gonna pass on this because there's no art on the card. Like when you see the price point on this thing, you're not gonna pass. This is gonna be a steal.
Also, I think I can confidently say this is probably one of our best designs we've ever done.
Yeah.
If you like our games, don't pass on this one.
Yeah, and whoever made that comment about like, oh, I like the example of Hour of Need. It's like, so do we. Like we like Hour of Need. Hour of Need is one of our favorite designs. But if you like Hour of Need, you're gonna love this. So don't let the fact that the action cards don't have art on them be the deciding factor because there's gonna be plenty of art. It's a gorgeous game. The graphics are incredible. So anyway, other updates for the studio. We are this close to getting some demo kits ready to go to send out to people.
Yeah, we actually got the final art in for all the items we needed for because we were going to print the demo kit with some WIP, some work in progress art. That we were, it's in pretty good shape, but we were just going to have like a little watermark saying art's in progress. But Ellie actually finished up the finals, I think on Friday, and so we have all the art. We have the map tile art. Everything for the demo kit contents is done, except for Tom is still working on the sculpts. But fortunately, we can take care of printing stuff while he finishes that because we're going to be 3D printing the miniatures for the demo kits. So we're quoting that right now, figuring out the best place to print those, and then we actually put out a shout out or a call out for content creators. If you know anybody who does reviews or not like previews for board games, we did post something on our Facebook page with a link to a form. So anybody who's interested can sign up to maybe be chosen as a content creator that we will work with to create previews for the videos for the game that will be featured on the Game Found campaign. And I think that is probably the last big thing until launch, I think, aside from some updates and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great podcast fodder because it's a visual thing because you can check on our social media probably, but the miniatures, they're like you can see them on the previews, but we get to see them in person because we've 3D printed these things, and oh boy,
our buddy Kevin printed out Avram and Ransel, the two miniatures that we have shown in previews. So we have like actual 3D prints of those printed out, and they look awesome.
Yeah,
They look
I
really
don't
good.
think I've ever seen a better proportioned halfling miniature. It's just fantastic. Like, I'm so excited about it. My only downside is like I'm not a very good painter, so like painting that thing is going to be tricky because he's got a little tiny face because he's like really small, but he looks awesome. Like really cool sculpt. So super excited about that. Looking forward to the rest of his sculpts he's doing. He's got like 3 more for the demo kit. We're getting close. But yeah, looking forward to printing that. And I don't know if you mentioned this, but we did a call out for content creators.
Yes, you were playing on your phone.
I was answering something. By the way, do we have any questions this week?
I can check.
Yeah. Don't do it on your phone though, because you'll get upset.
I'm not doing other things. I'm doing something related to the podcast.
So that's most. Oh, I will also give an update on the writing side of things. I know everybody's dying to know what happens in book 3 of The Malice of Light. We are editing. My editor is all done doing his kind of updated revisions of the Acrid Sky and the Withered Roots, because I did like a re-edit of these for this new release just to clean up any possible typos. I think there's a couple of them I caught, but he also is a much better editor than me, so he gave me some suggestions. So we'll have some really cleaned up versions of the first 2 books, and then I'm going to get the manuscript of the 3rd book to him. Hopefully, what is it right now? This is the last week of October. So my goal is to definitely have it to him before the end of November, but probably be in the next couple weeks. So yeah, book's in good shape. And yeah, that's pretty much most of our studio updates. I mean, that we can talk about right now.
Yeah, I think so. As far as questions, there was a clarification of a question from last time about the heavy metal book game.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Ken Changer wanted to clarify that they meant heavy metal music in general, not the IP, which I think we answered pretty thoroughly. Was like a Relic Myers game would pretty much be our vessel for a game like that, because it's already heavy metal themed anyway.
There were I think it was just general. There were some questions.
There is a question. I'm not done yet.
Well, no, but there was more than one. I think.
If it's not in the podcast questions, it's not going to get answered.
I'll answer it because it was one that I wanted to talk about.
I will go there in a minute, but this one is from Derek. Derek asked, have you considered a survival horror themed game? I recall hearing you two discuss the idea of a game inspired by Resident Evil, guessing maybe Brady's idea based on the Below the Asylum discussion. And I'm curious if that's still something you would like to do. And I would say absolutely. We've wanted to do a zombie game for years.
Yeah,
now.
we have done, like when we say survival horror / zombie, a lot of the games that we've kind of envisioned in that would be something that'd be ideally like a Resident Evil Outbreak tone, but not just limited to only zombies, more like it's like Resident Evil where there's like mutants, like kind of biopunk, whatever you call it. But we did have a game that we've got a prototype for that we were working on. We were going to pitch to Blacklist Games back in the day. This was an IP that has since evolved, so it would fall within the Relic Myers umbrella if it were to happen. But if we actually had a pretty good working prototype of it, and if anybody's played Cthulhu Death May Die, you'll probably see where like our inspiration was coming from at the time, because I was like super into that. So it was like almost like Cthulhu Death May Die meets like Street Masters or something, and like a survival horror game in that vein. But again, we haven't pitched it, we haven't finalized it, but it's there, we have it on the shelf. So given the right time, definitely would want to do something with it. So, but also like even just a new, like just a zombie game, like we would love to do just kind of our ideal version of a zombie survival game.
A board game version of Resident Evil Outbreak is what I would want to do. Something like that would be really cool.
A little bit like that, but a roguelike element where you have a base and you're like,
I just mean like scenario based, random survivors
like
from the city.
Mission types, and you smash up a mission type with a location with opposition. Yeah.
So I only saw one question in general that is from any time recently, and that was Cajun ATX. I love how rolling in your other games often gives you something even when you fail, quote unquote, the roll. Will rolling dice in Malice of Light work like that as well?
Oh, okay. That might have been what I was thinking of. I forget. I thought it was something else though.
I mean, I will say that it's a little different. It's not. I mean, if you've played Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, or Heroes of Terranoth, you'll have a good idea. I think we take it a step further with how you get like the bonus resources, which we haven't discussed yet, but we probably will in an update pretty soon. But there's not a lot of like failing rolls because we don't really have like misses. You might not roll as many successes as you need, but usually there's ways to mitigate that or to help improve your odds. Generally, we like dice where it's like, let's see how good you're going to do something, or let's see how well you do. Not like, can I do this or not?
My ideal use of dice is in the same vein, but it's more like, I'm going to pay something to get this done, but I'm going to roll to see if I can maybe save, so like I get a discount on it or something. So it's like that kind of mentality where like you're playing as a heroic person or a capable person, so you're gonna get something done. But the question is like, how much is it going to cost you? Like how much you're going to take on. So that's kind of how I've always envisioned dice. Is I never want to use it as like, oh, how did I fail? That's not interesting to me. So.
And this kind of rolls into our topic for the day with like difficulty, like a difficulty in games. Because a lot of people, ever since we've ever played or, liked enjoying cooperative games, one of the biggest things was always like, it's got to be super hard. People are always like, I only like games that are like, I only beat it like 50% of the time. And that's what makes me want to keep playing. And I've always had a very different opinion about that. Like if I play a co-op game, I want to win every time. Like I want to win the game. The question is, do I feel challenged and do I have fun? Like, so that's always been my biggest focus from a like design perspective of a game. Is like, let's make sure this is challenging and gives you interesting decisions and is fun, but you're still going to play through it and probably win. Yeah. That's kind of how I've always approached co-op games.
And I don't know the psychology behind this, because like I always compare like ourselves against other gamers, because like I think we're the same level of non-competitiveness, because like a lot of people play games, they just have a natural tendency to compete. Like even Sarah, she'll play co-op games with me, but even when she's playing a co-op game, she gets kind of like a little like on edge, like even if it's just kind of understanding the rules differently. And it's because she has like this competitive nature where she doesn't want to fail something, and it's like it's kind of bizarre, because I think that it kind of translates in a weird way where, because we're non-competitive, like we don't like seek the challenge to overcome, like to like outwit
like
something.
Like the Necromunda campaign we were playing that got super competitive.
Oh yeah,
our opponents were not us. But
wait, which one was? I'm trying to think the reference.
We were playing with D-Man.
Oh, okay, that got kind of a little spicy, but it's like when we play competitively, I don't think we're looking for that challenge. It's more just like we want to have a satisfying conclusion. So it's like,
also you want to see interesting things happen. Like you want cool things happen.
You want to see the whole game, because if you're playing a co-op game and you fail, typically that means you don't get to finish the game. You're just like stopping because you lost, and like that's a little unsatisfactory. And it's like, it might just because we're lazy. Like we don't want to set up a whole game again or like reset up a game. It's like we're setting up a game to enjoy it, so we're going to see it through its conclusion. So it's like we don't want that challenge in that way. And I think like we just want to get a satisfying ending, which usually means you won, so unless it's like a campaign game where like you're recording your failures, that's different. I feel like we could accept that easier, but I know me and you both will just clearly cheat sometimes and fudge rolls just to finish a game, to get to the end of it. I know I do that with like solo games when I'm playing like Final Girl. I'll never take a defeat. I'll fudge it saying I want to finish this game, so I'll just like fudge something and get to the end. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever looked at like co-op games like some people do, where they're like puzzles to solve, where it's like, oh, I solved this game, so I don't want to play it anymore. Yeah. And that's I think where the biggest weakness is with that whole difficulty thing, where it's like you got to make this game challenging so you only win like 50% of the time, where it's like I don't care about how many times you win or lose. Like I just like, you should play through the game and you should have a good time. That's like
I think that's probably why when we design, it's like almost always like the crux of whatever design it is based on modularity in some way, because modularity is that thing where it's like you're changing up the game enough where that would kind of replace any need to like solve a puzzle. It's like you're playing through this different combination of things to see what happens, versus like we're playing Pandemic, which is the same game, the same puzzle presented in different ways, but like you're just seeing how well you can do against that, if you can outwit this puzzle. So that, and I think like we can have fun playing either of those types of games, but I feel like that's probably why we just kind of prefer that modular approach, because it's just creating this weird combination of things and just playing it out and see what happens. And usually we want to win. We want to get to the end of it. So,
and that's another thing too when it comes to games that are like designed to be campaign games, because you run into this weird situation where like I'm trying to think of a good example is that Dungeon Saga game. Like there was campaign rules for it when they had that advanced player's handbook or whatever for the first edition, and the rules were like if you failed a quest, you just kept playing it over and over again until you beat it. So it's like it wasn't really, like a story. It's like
a fail forward. Yeah,
it kind of felt like a video game where it's like hit restart.
Yeah, what's weird about that? I was playing another game that was similar where it had a what was that? I think it might have been like a Dice Throne, not Dice Throne Adventures, but maybe Dice Throne Missions, where like it just had that kind of if you don't succeed at it, you have to play it again until you win. And that is kind of weird. Where like if you're playing like the whole reason of failing should be to progress the game, progress this campaign based on your failure. Like that's just going to add to the overall story. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is that. I have an argument for difficulty because, like, for example, when we were discussing Defenders of the Realm, when we first started playing that game, like, we were determined to beat it. Like, so, like, we played it so many times in a row because we kept losing, and we kept trying to figure out the best way to do it. But I feel like with that game, there was so much randomness with spawning and all and dice rolls and stuff like that, that even if you figure out the game, it's still interesting to try because it's random. And I think randomness is kind of the big factor of co-op games making them fun, is because no matter how much you know the strategy or how well you figured the game out, having randomness in there changes things up. And so you have to, I always like randomness where it's like it doesn't determine whether you do something or whether you don't do something. This is the situation you're in. The randomness creates a situation, and then you have to figure out how to solve that situation, and then move on to the next situation. That's kind of how I think randomness should drive a co-op game.
Yeah, it's not like a black or white situation because, like I said, we're going to enjoy. Like we enjoy Pandemic still. We enjoy playing those puzzly games. It just, I think like there's more incentive, I think, for us personally to go through the process of setting up a game if it's to like try out a different combination of something. Like, let's try this. Like Marvel United is a great example. That game is super simple, and it's like you're going through the same processes. But if you're just like, let's play again, I'm going to try this hero and this boss this time. So it's like the reason you're setting it up is to see what that combination looks like. It's the exploration aspect kind of. So that's more important to me, I think, because, and again, it might be as simple as I'm just lazy. I don't want to set up the game if I'm just going to like go through the same motions as before, And people might view that as if they beat a co-op, that's them exploring it and they don't want to explore it again,
I do feel like that game is a good example of how to do difficulty right, though. Like that game always feels challenging. It always feels like it comes down to the wire.
It is kind of a mathed out game where it like assuming you know what you're doing. It's almost like tic-tac-toe in the way where like you're going to go through the promotions, but if you just made that one misstep, then you're going to fail. But it's like, it's always going to be that last turn that decides it.
Okay, so give the listeners, if you don't have one right away, I do, an example of a game you think, a co-op game that does difficulty poorly.
Ghost Stories.
Ghost Stories.
Did you ever play that?
One. Yeah, I remember playing that.
It's impossible, man. Like you could only win if the cards came out in the exact right order, and it's like it doesn't even matter how good you are at the game. It's just like there's only like one path to victory, and if it doesn't come out the right way, you can't do anything about it.
I honestly feel that way about that Stranger Things game too. Like that game, I felt like it should have been beatable by the way we were playing it. Like I've played that game like 5 times with my daughter, and we've never beaten it. I never played with like a serious group where it's like, let's figure this out. But the game is just like numbered tokens and stuff, so it's not that interesting to like to figure out. But I was also going to use the example of that game that you got recently that was like defending a town. Abomination.
Abomination?
Yeah.
You did it poorly, you said?
I didn't like the difficulty, how the difficulty was handled in that game.
Did you think it was too hard, you mean?
Yeah, it just felt like, it felt punishing. Like
in that game, like, 'cause I like that game a lot. I don't get to play it very much, but I think that like it's adjustable enough that because they made it, I think the way I set it up, because it's scenario based, I don't like that about it. I think that game should have a default way to play it like Pandemic. You set it up and you go, but this one presented in like this kind of campaign thing where it's like, it's kind of learned the game through these scenarios. So, but I mean that, the way it sets it up, yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it handles difficulty as well as it could, because it could have just made a default way to play the game, and then like you could have scenarios changing up or whatever. So, but yeah, the one we played, I think it was a little bit harder because I played through the intro stuff myself, and we tried the game kind of on the more advanced settings. But
yeah, I feel like having when it comes to a co-op game, I feel like accessibility is very important. Like trying to get people to in the game and learn it as easy as possible without having all these alternate rules and stuff like that. I feel like probably the best way to do that is just to have the default way to play the game to be kind of like your intro difficulty, where it's like this is going to be challenging, but it's not going to be like frustratingly hard where you want to quit right away. And then you could have like some hard, like let's add some optional rules to like crank the difficulty up for people who have played a lot. And that kind of goes into another topic we were discussing like recently about our philosophy on, at least my philosophy on games, like making games. I feel like a lot of times nowadays when people have these big crowdfunding campaigns, these big campaign games, they want to present this game that it's like a lifestyle game, where it's like this game is going to have hundreds of hours of gameplay, it's going to take up all your game nights, stuff like that, to like as a selling point. And I feel like for me, I would much rather have a game that's like, here's a game that'll take you a couple hours to play, and you add it to your collection, and you might throw it in game night every now and then, but it's not going to be a game you have to play all the time.
Yeah, there's two distinct things where it's like there's two games I'm looking forward to, and they're both with the same company, Awaken Realms. They have Lands of Evershade, which is what you're describing. It's like here's like an RPG like hobby level thing that you could like explore for however many campaigns you want to play, and that excites me for that reason. But at the same time, they have this game that I'm also excited about, but I'm kind of like getting a little deflated about, is that Below the Asylum Below game, or Below Asylum, whatever it is, the current one that's running, because I want that game, but I want it reduced. I don't want to because it's like it's doing the same thing with like other games where it's like 10 boxes of like all these different like expansions and stuff, and I want the concept of like these asymmetrical heroes doing like supernatural horror stuff, but I want that concise down to like a Malice of Light adventure style game, just a box.
Yeah, I feel like that's why we wanted to make this game as our first project, because it's like a game that I want a game that's meaty but fits in one box and is like just a game in your collection. It's just something you can break out when you have a couple hours with your to kill with your by yourself with your friends or whatever, and like it doesn't have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of baggage with it. It's like here's a fun game that you can break out whenever you need to, and then basically have a collection of those. And
yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I always go back to this because it's like been on top of mind recently. But like Hour of Need, when we that model, we were planning that product where it's like here's the core game, and it's like just a very concise box where it's a bunch of isolated episodes. But if you wanted to like spruce it up a bit, you could have expansions and socket stuff in to like add these little, like we didn't get to do it all the way with Hour of Need because the funding level didn't support it, but there was all kinds of like these modular things where you could increase difficulty and lower difficulty based on the things you add, like, oh, here's like an ally, here's a nemesis, here's like a special bystander that's good for you, here's a bystander that's bad for you because they beat you up because they're scared, all kinds of random stuff. But it helped like kind of customize that experience. It also just told different stories. So that was something too where it's like it kind of touches on that like kind of hobby lifestyle game, but it's also concise enough where it's like it's presented in these digestible chunks. That it kind of just like is a hybrid, I think, of those two different categories. But yeah,
I guess I'm having trouble thinking of one myself. But is there a example of a game, like a co-op game, that you feel like does difficulty like right, like it has a good feel for difficulty?
I'm trying to think of a good example of this, because like I just said, Hour of Need was a great example because there was like a baseline difficulty where it was more designed for somebody who wants to experience a game like we do, where like you want a challenge but you're probably likely going to win. And then if you want to play it harder, then you add stuff in. Then you add like, you add your rivals in, or you add like more difficult things in to make the game more interesting. And there was a game trying to think what that game was, because there was a game like that. It wasn't, I mean, like Final Girl kind of does that a little bit, because they have these like modular things you can add to the game to complicate it, to just add difficulty. But any game that presents modular rules to help with difficulty, I think is the way to go, because you can have that baseline experience. But anybody who wants to have that challenged, I mean, even Abomination did that. It's ironic you called that out as one that didn't do it well, but it does have the ranked enemy cards. It's supposed to help, customize your experience. So, but I can't think of one that really encompasses all of that. But any game that I forget what it's called, the Shambi Tori, whatever. I can't remember the guy's name. There's a designer who makes these solo co-op card games. I'm going to get a bunch of crap on this because people love this person. They make great games, but they do it's oh my god, it's driving me crazy.
Well, don't sit there and get the name wrong over and over again.
But they make these small box card games for the Omniverse is what they're called. That's what I was thinking of. But every game has a very baseline tutorial the way you play the game, and it's like if you imagine like the game, a very simple card game where you're just organizing cards, but then they start adding these like modules on top of it, and by the time you add all of them in there, it's like a really complicated hard game. So all of those games follow that same model where they just present a very simple game, but then all the different modules just make it more and more difficult and more challenging.
I would say that this is at the sake of tooting our own horn here, but I think Street Masters did a pretty good job with allies and rivals. Like if you want, having a hard time with the game, you can throw an ally or two into the game to help you out. If you think you're just doing too good, throw a rival in there. It's like, yes, it complicates the game a bit, but also a way to just modular adjust the difficulty, but also feeling thematic, where it's like, I want to bring an ally with me. Things like that, I think are a great way to manage difficulty, because obviously if you're good at the game and you know it really well, throwing in more rivals to complicate it is fine, because you already have a good handle on the game. I also feel like it's worth shouting out Iridia again on this, because that game was a long campaign, and again, impressive because we actually played through the entire thing. We've played it start to finish without skipping. The only time we skipped was when Brady broke his leg and delayed our campaign. But we pretty much played every single week, sometimes multiple times a week. But there were plenty of encounters in that game that were very like nail biters. Like we almost all died. I still haven't yet to actually die in that game. Brady did in one of his campaigns and said that the death mechanic was interesting.
I think you flubbed some dice rolls to avoid dying.
We played something wrong. We played something wrong, but I was actually kind of curious about it, so I was like,
it's pretty well done. I thought, but because Riley and I are good about not ever fudging rules. We just go with what. Right. When it comes to co-op, when Riley and I play co-op games, we'll deal with whatever crap we do. We make.
Yeah, I feel like we talk about this game a lot though, but I feel like it was just worth mentioning because I felt like that game did a very good job with difficulty. Like if it didn't feel like a cakewalk. Some encounters were pretty easy, but yeah, very 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 good game. I actually, I miss playing that. That was a fun game.
Yeah, my I think to put a kind of a cap on it is like my preferred way to handle difficulty is like by just not even really like worrying about it too much. It's more just creating a challenging experience, but then like allowing players to experience that, like for me, like through as other characters, plays different characters, play against different enemies, like mix it up, like allow for modularity. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Obviously, it's like I may be biased, but I just like modularity.
I do think I want to handle that like in Mouse Light Adventures, like if this game funds, how I want to view difficulty is like through expansions, like have an expansion that is like, oh, this is a big boss fight, like the giant tree mech thing on the cover of
Mazareth.
What's his name?
Mazareth.
And that I've totally drawn a blank on the name of the book, The Withered Roots. On the cover of that would be a great expansion to have this big dryad tree thing, a boss fight, and adding like some more complicated rules to make the difficulty, crank the difficulty up. Things like that. So yeah, I think that people who've played our games probably know how we some people might think our games are too easy or something. I don't know, but that's kind of how we view difficulty. So
yeah, I don't know if people have ever said it's too easy. Like there are combinations that can be easy, but yeah, like I can't think of a game we've done where it's kind of just a linear experience that's too easy.
One thing I don't think we want to do again is something some people might like, but difficulty ratings on
I want
Street Masters, for example.
To get into that, yeah, because that's something people like request a lot. And I know it's something that's common for like I'm trying to think of the examples out there, like Sentinels: The Multiverse, where it's like, oh, this villain is this hard, and like the more I think about that, because it's been a while since I've ever like kind of got into that mindset of designing for that. We haven't designed a Street Masters boss since that Steamforged campaign, I think, but like I kind of hate that concept. I kind of hate that like you're locking out content based on whether it's too easy or too hard for somebody. So like, take the Sentinels of the Multiverse. If someone buys that game and they like kind of just an easygoing experience to play through the story, they only have a handful of bosses to fight against because the other ones are too hard. So like, I don't like that at all. It's just weird to lock out content where you can still like convey those different complexities through the mechanics, not necessarily like through how difficult it is to win, but there should be other factors you can customize, like Sentinels of the Multiverse, for example. Like I think it's fair to like in a game like that, you just make the environment be the part that customizes because like that's much different than like locking out the environment content. I can live with that, but I think like the characters not be able to play against certain characters, that's kind of lame. So did we do complexity ratings in Street Masters? It's complexity because a lot of those, that's what's weird about Street Masters. A lot of those complexity ratings are more just about how hard is it to understand how this deck works, as opposed to like how hard is it to survive. Like sometimes they go hand in hand because like there are some complexities where they're based on like you need to know how to kind of avoid taking a ton of damage. So like overall, like it's kind of like it's kind of synonymous with like challenging versus complexity, whatever it is, but we tried to rate them based on like how complicated the decks were designed and how like not intuitive it would be to understand them right off the bat.
Yep. So that's kind of how we feel about difficulty. I feel like we don't want to design games where we worry about win-loss ratios. We're perfectly fine if you win a game, one of our games, every single time we play it, as long as you felt challenged and you had fun playing it. That's all we care about.
I've been really excited, relieved, and just encouraged by the number of playtest reports we get for the Mouse Light Adventures, where it's like, oh, this was down to the wire, like this was the last die roll, like, and that's it. It kind of sounded like how people react to like Marvel United, where it's like always down to the wire, and that's good to hear, because that's what you want to create, is that tension, that drama, so it feels like that victory is earned, but it's also not depressingly hard.
Yeah, I honestly would be perfectly happy if I knew somebody was playing one of our games. They set it up. They played through once and they won. Like, oh, that game was really fun, and they move on to the next game and play it, as opposed to them losing 3 times in a row. That same and playing it frustrated. We got to beat this, and taking up the whole game night. I would probably prefer the first of that. Like, I don't care how many times they play our game. If they have fun with it, and
you associate that product on the shelf with that positive experience, so you're more likely, like, because if you have that repetitiveness where you're trying to beat it, because I mean, honestly, I think like Defender's Realm might have suffered because of that, because when we did play it for like that, period of time, we're like, oh, we gotta beat it, and we beat it, and then I put it on the shelf, and like I feel like there might have been a phase in my life where I'd look at that box and not want to break it down, because it was like we experienced so many like crushing losses with that game. So if we would have just beaten it, it's like, oh, it's on the shelf, like, oh, let's try that, but with the other bosses instead, and you swap things out. But at the time they didn't have the other bosses, they added those later. But yeah, that's kind of the same way. But yeah, that's difficulty. We had some difficulty talking about that, but we're over the hump now. So get it?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Today is the premiere of It Welcome to Derry. Is that what it's called? Well, I forgot what they call it.
I think so.
Yeah, whatever it is, I'm stoked, because it's going to be It Welcome to Derry, and then right after that, it's going to be The Chair Company, episode 3. And The Chair Company, if you haven't watched it on HBO, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Weird, funny show.
Yeah, it's
Weird,
really,
funny.
it's a great tone. It's like it has almost like a weird horror vibe to it because it's like a thriller, you know. But
It's a dark comedy thriller, like mystery. It's interesting.
it's at its limit.
If you like, I think you should leave with Tim Robinson. You might want to check this out.
See the belly? It's at its limit.
I don't know if we covered like game news, but there was some interesting news that came out that was kind of expected, but it was still a bummer. A while ago, I think I talked about this on this podcast at some point. There was this Project Sigil D&D Beyond was doing. That's a virtual tabletop where it's basically trying to create like 3D virtual tabletop that uses, you know, like integrates with D&D Beyond, so you can play D&D virtually on a virtual tabletop with like really nice 3D rendered models and like these
like
custom maps and stuff.
A D&D video game.
Yeah.
Literally a D&D video game.
And I was pretty excited about that because I was like, man, this is gonna make me want to play D&D again because I have friends that live far away and stuff like that, and I like playing D&D, but I don't, and I like visuals, but I don't. It's a challenge having like, you know, dungeon or Dwarven Forge terrain and like setting up like custom dungeons, stuff like that, and you have to have the right miniature for the right situation, and it's impossible to have. Not impossible, I know people do this, but it's not practical to have all the miniatures and terrain you need for every single situation in a role-playing campaign. But anyway, I was excited about it. It launched into beta, and then like immediately when it launched into beta like months ago, they laid off the entire team. And they said, okay, we're done. We're done doing what we're going to do. We'll support it, but that's it. And then they announced like this last week or whatever that they're not supporting it anymore. It's gone.
You said the name, right? Project Sigil?
Yeah, Sigil, okay. Project Sigil. And I don't know. I think they were just having issues monetizing it or something. Like they had this idea that they were going to sell like skins and stuff, and
but they probably would have. I probably would have.
I know, but people, I think people were like up in arms about it. Like
Yeah.
D&D, you know, RPGers, they don't want that whole microtransaction.
They don't want
stuff,
people making
and
money off of hobbies.
so that's a bummer. I mean, there's other virtual tabletop options, obviously, but like I was excited about something official with that whole. I don't know, but I did play the demo for Battlemarked, which is this new D&D like card-based miniatures game that's going to be co-op. It's really cool. There's a free demo for it on Steam. That lets you play through one of the encounters overworld and then one of the dungeons. You have like a collection of characters and they all have cards, and you know it's like a tactical turn-based battle game. Pretty cool.
Did you ever find out like how multiplayer works on that?
No, I have it. We can try it sometime because I have the demo. It's like it takes 2 minutes to install, I think.
Well, I just figured you'd be able to get a sense of it from playing the game. You might understand how they implement it. I figured you just control different characters. Or...
I assume so. I mean, I know that there was like a party screen, and so you have yourself and you have AI assigned to their characters. So I'm assuming everybody just takes control of certain characters.
This game uses AI?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
But speaking of demos, there's also on Steam a demo for the Marvel Cosmic Invasion.
Man, that game was good.
Dotemu, is that the company? Dotemu?
I don't know. Yeah, they did the Turtles one, right? The
Shredder's Revenge. Yeah. But there's a free demo for it on Steam. It's freaking awesome. It's a really good beat 'em up game with Marvel characters. You have like Nova and Captain America and Rocket, Raccoon, She-Hulk.
I played as
Venom,
Rocket and She-Hulk, and I know they're going to have Ghost Rider, but
I think Ghost Rider was confirmed.
Cosmic Ghost Rider, and they also mentioned that they're going to have the ones they just got announced were Iron Man and Storm. No, Iron Man and
Phoenix,
right?
The Storm is in it.
Yeah,
but yeah, again, they have Storm, they have Jean Grey, they have Wolverine. There's no Cyclops yet. Why people keep doing X-Men, but Cyclops is the X-Men. He should be the first one you put in.
Captain America's in it, right?
Captain America,
because I think somebody shared an image of one of his costumes and his U.S. agent. So it's weird that like you.
Oh really?
Yeah, like the different skin makes him a different character, I guess.
that's cool. I'll take it.
I wonder if they do that with anybody else, because they have like, I mean, Nova has several different aliases, right? That took on the Nova.
I mean, I think it was a rotating. I mean, most superheroes have like rotating casts or whatever.
I'm guessing they might have War Machine too. Then I don't know.
Maybe. I will say the way they do Nova in that game, though, some of the characters can fly. You know, so like you just jump twice and you're floating around. You can fight guys in the air. Man, it's just such a fun game.
Super fluid.
You when you play, you pick two heroes and you like tag team out, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it is a good way to like utilize multiple characters when you're playing by yourself and stuff.
Yeah, what's weird about that is like you always figure that, I don't know, because a lot of this methodology, whatever it is, philosophy,
philosophy.
Yeah, the design philosophy behind a lot of those old games were to just get people to pump quarters in, which isn't an issue at home. So it's like a lot of games will like try to get you to keep playing. I'm not really sure if that's just a legacy thing from that old design philosophy, but you figure because of that, they would just make it so you have to play as a character and then like play another run through to play as a different character. But the reason they like make it now where you can like team up, they like Double Dragon did that too. It's like, why is that so common where like they force team ups?
I was going to mention that Double Dragon. Some other game did that too recently, and I think
Scott Pilgrim did too, didn't it? I forget.
I don't remember. But I don't know what that trend is or what the purpose of it is, because maybe it's because since when you're playing beat 'em up games, you're doing the same thing over and over again, so keep it interesting where you can swap your character out.
And maybe it also is like people who, if they only play it solo, it like allows a little bit of like variety where like you get to see somebody else besides your one character on that. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, it's phenomenal game. Cannot wait for that game.
I think it comes out December 1st on like every console. Probably grab it for Switch this time because I have Shredder's Revenge on Switch. But yeah, again, free demo on Steam. If you haven't played it, go check that out. It's awesome.
Weapons is streaming on HBO.
I've already seen that twice in theater though, so I think I'm good.
I've seen it twice since it came on stream because Riley wanted to watch it yesterday too.
Did Sarah like it?
Sarah liked it, yeah. She's not a big horror movie, but man, you would not believe how loud she screamed. I guess I can't spoil it, but like the first time Gladys shows up, like she screamed bloody murder, man.
My wife gets really tense at that kind of stuff too. Like she doesn't like get visibly scared, but you can tell she tenses up and she gets stressed out. I
showed Oliver when Riley and I were watching, and Oliver just laughed like I did. Like he has the same mentality where it's like,
well, you probably didn't show him the whole lead up to it. Then
it was like looking down the door and stuff, and but you could tell he jerked back, but he was like he got a thrill out of it.
Yeah, it's weird. Every time I get creeped out in a movie or something, like I get jump scared, I just start laughing because I think it's funny. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, because you want it. It's like you're laughing because you wanted that to happen. Like, yes, this is great. I feel good now. Happened a lot in The Conjuring when I first saw that.
I don't know if this is true with anybody else, but when I'm outside driving right now in this weather, I just am reminded of college. Like, because it's fall, like all the leaves changing colors. It's like, no, I'm just saying the view. It just reminds me of going to class in college.
Before we went to college, I would have memories of college because of movies I saw.
Back to school.
Like I remember vividly before I would go back to Purdue, I was at Purdue for I think it was because I was cleaning carpets for that one guy with Dustin. And like we were unloading outside of the truck and it was near Purdue. And I got this weird sense that I was like a student at Purdue. And like, I was like, I've never been
wishful thinking.
I guess, But it felt like this nostalgic thing. Like, oh, I'm back at school.
I wish I could go back to when I was in school and slap myself for switching majors into fine art.
I still don't know if I should have pursued creative writing because all I have to do is write. I don't need a degree for it. Yeah, college degree's a college degree.
Nobody reads anymore.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. By the way, and go pick up a book. This is topical. If anybody, I don't know if anybody who's listening follows our social media pages, but I have a author page. And I was giving away free copies of the Relic Myers Book 2 audiobook, which is phenomenal. Brian did an incredible job. And I was giving away 10 in the US and 10 in the UK. And there's 9 in the US left and 10 in the UK left. So I've only got one person claim them. So if you want one, claim them. Otherwise, I'm just going to start giving away to somebody else. But I thought I'd do a cool seasonal giveaway because it's coming up to Halloween. But I don't have a big reach on my social media platform through my author stuff. So go like that page. Go share it. If you don't want it, fine. Share it. Give somebody else it. I just want to get people listening to it and reviewing it. So pick up a book. Seasonal book. Spooky season. Thanks for tuning in. Let's close it out.
Have a happy Halloween.
Let's go play some Pokemon. Is that this week?
Next weekend.
This is on a Tuesday, so hope you enjoyed it. Welcome to Derry. 2 days ago. So
have a spooky week. Later.